You're looking to publish a book, but you just don't have that many ideas to write about. So in this video, I'm gonna break down what helped me come up with so many more ideas for my book in order to become a published author. Hey, welcome back to the channel. If you're new, my name is Bennett. I'm here to share some tips and tricks that I learned that help me move the needle just a little bit in my own personal life, so I hope you find it beneficial. We're gonna break this video up into 3 different parts, so make sure to skip around if you're looking for something specific. The first part's gonna be all about getting ourselves more creative and getting in that zone where we can really come up with different ideas. This second part's gonna be all about practical things, so when you actually sit down to write, you'll be able to really get all that information out. And the third and final idea is gonna be why you might not wanna necessarily use AI when it comes to this part of writing your book. So let's get into it. When it comes to your own creative edge, we have to understand that you need to be you. And it might sound simple, but so many times we have different people we look up to. And if we try to be that person, we're really taking away the flavor from who it is that we are. So if you're in the personal development space and you look up to Tony Robbins or Brendon Burchard, you don't want to be the next one of them. What you do want is to really be able to pull out your own uniqueness. One of the hardest parts about generating our own ideas is really putting ourselves and our true authenticity into that idea. And it's one of the main reasons why we have to start collecting our own personal stories. Whether there were certain experiences that happened to you, or whether you were able to help other people in different areas, if we can start to understand that our stories are totally unique to us, and by telling them, we're automatically going to be giving our own perspective. We're not going to sound like everybody else because the stories are what happened to us. It's one of the reasons why when I wrote my book, I give so many examples on different people that I've helped and my own personal examples in the book itself, because nobody could take that away from me. So even if you hear an idea about imposter syndrome or fear of failure, the fact that I told my angle of it allowed it to make it unique to me. So make sure when you are looking to create your ideas, that you're putting your own spin on it and you're not just copying and pasting somebody else's stuff. Besides for the fact that it's not cool, strategically, it's probably not the best move you could be doing. And that takes me to the other side of the coin. Because although we shouldn't be copying people for what it is that they're saying, we should be able to get inspired by them. Because if you can start to understand that your own unique perspective comes in with the ways that you view the world, you're all of a sudden going to have ideas that nobody else is going to have. I like giving the example, if 2 people would read the same 5 books, but in different orders, they're both going to be getting different things out of the books. Our brains connect to certain lessons in the book. We try to make sense of those lessons by threading the needle through all the different ideas that we're going to be collecting. Because at the end of the day, when you read a book, how many ideas do you really digest? And it could just be because you experience something, you feel more passionate and more connected to it, and that's where you connect with certain ideas. Understanding that although you're gonna hear different ideas from different people, you're gonna have your own unique perspective on it. It's gonna be something that you really wanna step into. It's also why I like referencing the fact when you hear somebody speak, everyone is going to be taking out their own nuggets. For example, if I would say that a basketball is orange, you might take that basketballs are only orange. Somebody else might imply that basketballs are not green. Somebody else might imply that it's orange and could be other colors. But the fact that we all have different experiences in life, we're going to be able to represent and digest the information differently. So understanding that your own uniqueness that you bring to your content and to really help you start generating ideas. It's why Matthew Dick talks about how you really want to start collecting stories and bringing in your own personal experiences, because that's going to be the thing that's going to differentiate you from everybody else, because nobody can take that away from you. Before I get to the practical points, if this is content that you like, make sure to hit the subscribe button so I can continue making this type of content. So what are we supposed to do practically when it comes to getting our ideas from our head onto a piece of paper? And there are 4 different things we could do. The first thing is we have to make sure we have a place that we can start and making sure we're consolidating everything in one place. And whenever I needed to find an idea, I wasn't able to find it because there were so many different places. But when I was able to find myself a journal and really look to be able to take all that information and put it in one place, what ended up happening is that I was able to go back and reference so many different ideas that I had. Some people like using a hardcover, some people like using their phones. Wherever it is that you're going to be putting your ideas, make sure to have them all in one place. So now that you have a place to write and you want to start writing, here are 3 questions that you can start to ask yourself to get things moving. What are 5 different subcategories when it comes to the topic that you're speaking about? So for example, if I wanted to write a book on real estate, I might pick topics such as single family houses, multi-family apartment buildings, financing real estate, the team members that you might need, and certain success and failure stories that I had. Once you're able to think about the 5 subcategories that you have, what you want to try to do is really make another list of 5 under each subcategory. So when it comes to single family, I might talk about different markets, different strategies that people have, different problems that come up, the benefits for investing in single family, and where I would get started if I would do it all over again. And if you end up doing that for each of the 5 subcategories, you have 25 different subcategories and 5 subcategories of a total of 30 different pieces of content, total of 30 different ideas that you can start to write about. You could either go deeper and give yourself 3 different examples of the subcategories, or you can give yourself 10 examples of different subcategories that you might want. And by breaking it down into such simple steps, we don't have to think about writing necessarily, and we can really start to generate different ideas. Another thing you can ask yourself is, what are some questions that you had when you first started out? You see, throughout our experience, we're going to be learning different ideas. And because of that, we might not be able to remember what it was like when we first started. It's one of the reasons why I started vlogging at the beginning of my YouTube journey, because I really wanted to see how things are going from the beginning and the progress that I'm going to be making. I'm going to be able to really experience the feeling and know what it was like day in and day out just by going back for that information. So if you're writing a book on a specific topic, what were some of the questions that you had that other people might be able to benefit, or a step or 2 behind you? The third and final question you want to ask yourself is, what have you gone through that other people will also be able to benefit from? Maybe you're a little lost on a specific story, or you need another example. So if you could look back at different areas of your own personal life, you might be able to take that and relate it to somewhere else, so that other people feel more connected to what it is that you want to talk about. Another thing you could do practically, you could take out a journal and turn your timer on for 5 minutes and just start writing. I know it sounds crazy, but if the goal is to continue writing no matter what, you end up thinking about different ideas. And even if it doesn't make sense, it's one of the things I teach people when they have writer's block, is that you just want to be able to write in order to get over the hump. Because so many times, the reason why we're not feeling inspired is because we're so focused on not knowing what to write. But if we could just get ourselves moving, what ends up happening is we end up getting things out of the way in order to get us back in that creative zone. And the fourth and final thing that you can start to do is you can get inspiration from other areas. So whether it's going on a walk and looking at a specific tree and asking yourself, what about this tree would I be able to write about? Or maybe even speak to some of your friends and ask them, what is it that they think about you regarding the topic that you're speaking about? It can really just give you that spark that you need in order to move forward, to be able to get that creativity from your head onto the paper. And now let's talk about AI, because as you know, AI is really important in terms of the progress that we want and the speed and the efficiency that we might want to have. But it's also really important to understand that AI is one of those things that really hurts our own creative edge. And I experienced this the first time that I was using AI. Everybody was talking about it, and I decided to play around with it. And someone like me, who wasn't so great at copy editing, I thought it was the most amazing thing. But what I found myself doing was very interesting. I started to lose my creative edge, and I just started asking it to be creative for me. Although it was popping out a lot of different great ideas, it wasn't me. And even nowadays, you can look on social media and you can see which pieces of content are AI generated versus what really has a human behind it. And the biggest thing I'd warn about, understand that if you're going to be relying on it to come up with different ideas for you, it's going to be taking some of the human out of the text, and it's not going to be so unique to you. Let me know down below what other questions you have about writing a book. Make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you all in the next one.